Hi everyone, thanks for joining this next section. Again, my name is Chris Plowman. I'm a Client Solution Manager at Magenic. In this video, we're going to take our Picshare application and we're going to start leveraging cloud storage in order to store the images. And we'll be following along with the Google documentation using cloud storage that you can find under the App Engine documentation flexiblenvironment.net. You can see I've logged into the console over here. And we can scroll down to see where the cloud storage information is. You see right now we don't have any cloud storage buckets created for the Picshare demo. Now since we'll be following along with the documentation here, I'll create the bucket through the Google Cloud shell. Now before I start executing the commands that the documentation shows, I just want to make sure that my configuration is set up properly and I'm using the correct project. So I can see by running the gcloud config list that the project is set to the Picshare demo 1, which is what I want. So you can see here, the first step will be creating the bucket, and we can do that by copying this command. So I'll paste that in here and give this bucket a name. And to make sure it's unique, I'm going to call it images-Picshare demo 1, which is my project name. Next, I want to set that to be publicly readable. So I'm going to copy this command. And again, update the bucket name to my bucket name, which is images-Picshare demo 1. Now, following along in the documentation, the next thing we want to do is create a service account and download those credentials. So we'll open the list of credentials. Create a service account key. A compute engine default service account. We'll be using JSON. And say create. You'll see that the private key automatically gets saved down to your computer. So following the documentation, we need to run a couple commands in order to set those Google application credentials. So we'll copy this default code that they have, because my path is a little bit different since I'm using a virtual environment on a Mac. So I'll paste what they have here, and here I've already copied in the path to the JSON file that was downloaded as exists on my machine. And I'll just modify their commands here. So instead of using the user profile downloads to the JSON path, I'm going to put in this. You'll see on mine, it's a shared folder from my VMware host. So I'm running a Windows virtualized environment from a Mac. Now with this, I can copy these commands and run them in my PowerShell. And there we go, we're all set. With that, we can go into our application and start updating in order to use this cloud storage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new section in my app settings for my Google Cloud Storage bucket. So Google Cloud Storage, images-Picshare demo 1. I also need to add the NuGet package in order to take advantage of cloud storage. So NuGet packages, browse. I'm going to include pre-release and search for Google Cloud Storage. So I'm going to create a new model that'll store my cloud storage information that I'm going to pull from that app settings. So add a new class, and I'm going to call that cloud storage options. And I'll have a couple properties in there, the bucket name and then the object name, which in this case will be the image that I'm going to store. So I'll save that, and then I'll pop back over to Startup CS, and I can create something that will read in from the app settings and create those cloud storage options that I can reuse throughout my classes. So under Configure Services, I'll add this line that's saying create these cloud storage options based off the section Google Cloud Storage, which is what I named this here. And with that, I can use this in the pictures controller. So I'll add a couple more class level fields. I'll specify that as an I options, which is in the Microsoft extension options. So I'll assign those in the constructor. And now I need to modify the logic a little bit since I won't be using the local file system, and now I'm going to be using Google Cloud Storage. So if we go down and take a look at this, this is where we're posting a new image. So we're receiving the image and a caption, we're saving the image, we're creating a new picture, and that's getting stored in our database. So we'll modify this a little bit. When we save the image, we want to get a link back instead of a file name. And the file path will now just be that link. And down here when we're saving the image, so we don't need to store a path anymore, but within the options, I do have that object name. So I want to create the object name, so I don't want to get the file path anymore. I want to get the file name. So let's rename this. Get file name, and let's go take a look at that code. So here we're creating a random file name, and then we're getting the extension of the local file name, and then we're creating the path. In this case, we don't need the path anymore. So rather than doing this, we can just return name, and that'll give us our new random file name with the original file's extension. So back to save image, I'm checking that the file length is greater than 0, so there's actually a file there. That's fine, but I don't want to do this anymore, creating this stream and copying it to a local file. So I can remove that. What I want to do instead is upload to cloud storage. So I'll say await and upload object async. I'm going to use this second overload where I have the bucket. So that I can get from my options, bucket name. It's asking for an object name. Well, I have that in my options as object name. Content type I can just set as null. And then it wants a stream, so I can say file open read stream. So now I'm uploading the object and I'm getting a result back. And one of the things I can see that's in there is a media link. And that's actually the link that I want and that I want to return. So let's go ahead and create a link variable that will originally sent to empty. And then if everything succeeds here, we'll set that to the media link. And finally, we'll just return the link. So now we've got the link back when we save images. We're still going to create the picture object for the database and store it the same way. We're not changing the database. And then we return just like we did before. So with that, we should be done. Let's save this, build it, make sure we didn't make a mistake. And the build succeeded, so that's a good sign. And let's pop over to our cloud storage bucket and just take a look at it. We can see that it's empty right now, which is good. So now let's try running our application and uploading a new image and see what we get. Okay, and there we go. You can see the results that I originally had are there because those file paths are still local, so they still work. Let's see if I upload a new image. Okay, it appeared here, so hopefully everything's good. Let's find out for sure. Yay, we can see that there's an image here. So it did get uploaded to Google Cloud Storage, so that part's working. So that's great. Now that this image is here, we're one step closer to having an application that can really scale at the power of the cloud. We're not going to be dependent anymore on the local file system, which will mean we can start having these web servers scaled out if we want to. And that's really, really powerful. So that's it for this video. In the next section, we'll be looking at migrating the SQL up to Cloud SQL. So stay tuned for that. For now, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.